Hi, I'm your girl Toya T, and this is my recap and review of Being Mary Jane Season 4, Episode 2, Getting Naked. This episode was interesting to say the least. When I finished it, all I could think was, Mary Jane is fucking stupid. And so is her niece. Niecey. Fucking stupid. They're both fucking stupid. Let's talk about how I got to that point. The episode opens up and we see Mary Jane is still with sexy Nigerian British comedian Lee. After getting the news about possibly being played by Garrett, the producer, about getting the anchor job and replacing Rhonda, the older black seasoned anchor, the black Diane Sawyer / Barbara Walters that she thought that she was going to be replacing. She's very upset about finding out that possibly is not true, and so she's looking at her post-its, because you know Mary Jane loves her post-its, and she's looking at the one that says you'll make yourself at home, but don't get too comfortable. And next thing you know, we see Lee come in and she's like grabbing his clothes off like they're on fire. And he's like, what's wrong? What's going on? He's trying to actually communicate with her, like have a real conversation between two adult people, because he can see that something is wrong. And she's like, nothing. And then of course they get to the, the business. And after that, we see that, he seems to be a really cool, nice, honest guy that's trying to get to know her. He's writing jokes and, having these, funny banter with her after they've done the business. And I really like I really like him for her, but obviously we all know that Mary Jane is, like, I don't know. She has like an allergy to good men. I think that's what it is. I think she has an allergy to good men. But anyway, so we see that. Then we also go into a scene going back to Atlanta, and we are watching Niecey getting pounded from the back by her baby daddy number 2, Dante, aka the opportunist, because he wasn't around when she was pregnant. He was barely around after she gave birth. His mother forced him to get involved after she learned that he was having a baby. And all of a sudden, now that Niecey is getting her settlement check from the city of Atlanta, now he wants to be around. Now he wants to be giving her the good. And so we see that happening, and he still lives at home, and you hear his mama come home and he's like, okay, we gotta be quiet, we gotta stop. And then they're starting to talk about the future, and she's trying to he's always bringing up the settlement check, like, you're good, right? I mean, you got the settlement check coming. And Niecey seems to, her, like, obviously her grandparents told her that it'd be best for her to take that money, especially how negative that situation is, take that money and put it into a trust for her 2 children. And so she told him that, and he's like, well, I could be around more if you bought me a car. We can get our own place, because both of them don't work and make enough money to rent their own place, to be in their own place. And so he's like trying to get her to use her settlement money. He's looking at this like he's won the lottery, like, oh yes, thank God I have this insecure woman who happens to also be my baby mama to leech off of. So he's bringing it up, and he's kind of talking to her into buying a second car, particularly for him, because he takes the bus to work, and he's like, well, I could be around more with my daughter, if I actually had a car. And so you can see the wheels turning, and she starts thinking about it. Kara's trying to talk and plot about how to get Mary Jane in that anchor seat that Rhonda currently occupies. So she said that she's suggesting that Mary Jane, get to know Rhonda, pretty much know your enemy, be close to her, get and understand what her weaknesses are. What is it that makes Rhonda tick? What is it that we can use to hurt her so that we can get into their spot? So Mary Jane's like, I don't know if I want to do that. She's been my idol, my role model since I was in high school. But she decides to think about it. But at that time, of course, Rhonda has, I think that she has secret cameras in different parts of this office, because how does she always know like what is going on? Like she seems to have like something. She has like some secret little bees or like a nanny cam in every single office, because she always knows when to like come and talk to Mary Jane. So she comes right by and asks Mary Jane, oh, can I talk to you? And you know, she's being really nice to her and saying, well, you know, before that, I'd even mentioned that Mary Jane was told that she was going to host this special for this awards function that the network puts on every year. And they're actually honoring Rhonda for her charity in Kenya. She builds these schools for girls in Kenya. And so she's being honored for her charity work. And Mary Jane is going to be the one that's hosting the special, interviewing people and covering the whole thing for the network. So it's a pretty big deal. And then we find out when Rhonda came to come see her that she actually specifically said she wanted Mary Jane to do it, because she's trying to say, like, you know, I'm tired of being the only black woman. I've been the only black woman, you know, in the building, you know, at this network for a long time, and I'm trying to help you. And Mary Jane is just really eating it up. And just off the jump, I'm like, yo, Mary Jane, do not trust her. Like, she is gaming you. She is like the dudes that freaking Mary Jane dates. She's like buttering her up, telling her everything she wants to hear, doing all these things while she is like slowly getting inside of Mary Jane's head. So she shows her all of these beautiful dresses that her stylist had picked for her for the award show, and said, oh, I also got him to pick some you know, dresses for you, Mary Jane, in your size. And, you know, giving her advice of what colors to wear. Like, you know, you need to wear a matte color because it shows that you're powerful, but then you stick out and you have confidence. And you don't want to do you know, sequins, because that shows that you're inexperienced. And Mary Jane's just eating it up, and you can tell that she really did look up to this woman while she's growing up, because she has that kind of like, you know, in awe face, like, oh my gosh, this is my idol and she's talking to me, like, oh, I can't believe this. This episode, Mary Jane had learned from Lee, because he's honest and he likes to talk to her, you know, open up, share. He tells her that he has 2 kids, like teenagers, preteens, and still living in London with their mom, and that he was never been married and it just didn't work out, and he moved to the US to kind of, you know, expand his horizons. And the kids are in boarding school anyway, so both the parents are, him and his the mother of his children, are pretty much just working on their careers. And so Mary Jane's taken a little bit off by that, but he's like, I'm telling you this because I want to know more about you, and I want you to know more about me. Again, all good things. He actually spoke very fondly of the mother of his children, and for me, that's always a great thing. But anyway, Mary Jane took that information, but then she told Rhonda about it, and Rhonda's like, okay. And then from there, of course, she decides to uninvite Lee, because that's what Mary Jane does. She takes, you know, 1 step forward and 5 steps back. And so Lee takes it in stride. As long as you're being, you know, honest with me and making up to me later, I don't mind if you feel like you need to focus and not be distracted by having a date at this event, because it is a work event. Then I'm fine not coming after you pretty much invited me to do so. And so that was fine. Let's go back to Niecy. So we see Niecy is hanging out with Dante. She gets, not hanging out with Dante. She actually goes to her lawyer's office where she finally gets her settlement check. It's smaller than she expected, but it's still a large amount. Because of course the lawyers took out their fees and other things too. And so he's like, you know, I can show you the accounting, but this is, you know, what you have. And she's looking at it, and he's like, well, the lawyer says, well, I heard that you wanted to make a trust for your kids. And she's like, yeah. And then Dante goes with his little money grubbing ass, and she says to the lawyer, you know, how much of this can I get in cash immediately? Because of course, I'm like, I can't believe it. I hope she's not buying him a car. And then we go see them, of course, at the car dealership, and Niecy's trying to be at least responsible with the money that she took out in cash to get a second car so that she can have Dante help her out since they're now in a relationship again, to help her out with the kid. So she picks a car that actually has like good safety, 10 airbags, space for a car seat, booster seat, things that she can actually use to drive her kids around, because that's what she really needs a second car for, and why she was considering getting another car for Dante to also use. But of course, he goes running over to a red sports car, look like a Charger or something, and he's got little Travion with him, and they're acting like they're driving. He's like, oh, isn't this so sweet, Travion? Look at this. And of course, Niecy is eating it up like an idiot, I mean, it looks cute. He's hanging out with, it's her boyfriend and father of her daughter, hanging out with her son and being all affectionate and cute. And so she asked the salesman, like, how much is this? And he's like, fully loaded, this is $45,000, but I can find you another car that is within your price range. And she asked him, can even car seats fit back there in the, in the back seats? And he's like, I've never heard anybody ask about that question because it's not a family car. But anyway, she sees how happy Travion looks sitting with Dante, and she's like getting the whole family like googly like goggles, like, he's not perfect, but at least he thinks, he's playing with my son. And so she decides to take this $45,000 car. Of course, I'm sure Dante would have wanted her to get it fully loaded so he can be driving around getting another girl pregnant. Because I think he does have 2 kids. If I can't remember, I think I remember correctly, Dante got another girl pregnant at the same time and has 2 kids. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but anyway, he's a bum, so whatever. Eventually, you see Travion sitting at the grandparents' house, and her father, Niecy's father, Patrick, comes and sees his grandson. He's like, what's going on? And he's like, I'm just sitting here, and he's playing with a red toy car. And of course, Patrick's like, where'd you get that from? And Travion says, I got it from Dante. And the family does not like Dante. They know he's a bum. They know he's a deadbeat. And so when Patrick hears this, he's not happy about it. And when Niecy comes in with all these shopping bags full of stuff, Patrick's like, well, how come you didn't tell me that you're dating Dante again? And Niecy pretty much acts like she's like a 13-year-old girl hiding like a secret relationship. Like, oh, please don't tell. Like, I didn't want to tell you because I know you get upset. And, he's been really good with Travion. She has yet to tell her father that she bought that man a car so he can go driving around with somebody else in it, but that's whatever. And so she's like, no, please don't tell grandma and grandpa, he's not perfect, but, he's, it's really hard when you got 2 kids by 2 different guys, and Dante doesn't care that Travion's not his son. He's really good with him, so I really just want to make this work. And so Patrick just lets it slide, but I feel like if you have to hide this fact from your grandparents, whose house you live in, that's going to be a problem. So that's where that storyline ends, but, Niecy's fucking stupid. Rhonda had suggested that, she's telling Mary Jane about the foundation that she has, the charity foundation, and tells her to interview this guy named Corey, who's actually the person that runs the foundation for Rhonda. And so Mary Jane interviews him. He's very good looking, very suave. He's the guy, if you haven't watched Single Ladies, he's the guy that played the best friend in Single Ladies, the one that worked in the store that was gay, but he's not gay in this one. He's just, he looks good. I didn't even realize how good he looked until he was playing a straight man in this movie. In this show. So anyway, the interview him is going well, and of course Carr's watching the interview and asks him, like, how is it possible that when you look at the records for the charity, that each school costs $10 million? Like, what are you guys getting out of it if you're putting so much money into this nonprofit school? And he gets kind of, shifty, but Mary Jane just, just like, oh, forget it, brushes it off. So we get to the gala, and Mary Jane is there in her pink dress. No Lee, of course, because she didn't invite him. And she, sees Rhonda, hears her story and, the speech, and she's all in awe. And then she meets Rhonda's husband and her 2 daughters. Of course, they're like the picture perfect Cosby show type family, Huxtables, like the Huxtables family, like daughter going to Yale, the other one is, very talented, and, the husband is good looking and, suave and all this other stuff, and looks very, you know, very polished and educated. And Mary Jane is just in awe of this. She, you know, sits down with the family. She's drinking with Rhonda, sharing stories and all this other stuff. And so it gets really interesting towards the end. So the whole gala goes, it's finished, and Mary Jane is still kissing Rhonda's ass. And again, I'm like, girl, don't trust her. But they're swatching stories, and she's like, you know, this is really great what you're doing. She's like, you know, I want to, you know, I forgot to mention somebody in my speech. And she mentions this guy's name, Steve. And she's like, who's Steve? And she's like, he's a producer that pretty much gave me shit in the beginning of my career. And now I can tell him to kiss my ass, because look at me, I'm an anchor and I got this award, and, you know, I'm a multimillionaire and blah, blah, blah. And she asked Mary Jane to share, tell me who your Steve is. And of course, Mary Jane's dumb ass tells her the name of the producer that fucked her over in one of her jobs that actually got her fired. And so, you know, they toast to the names, like toast to, you know, getting over on those are Steve's, and I forgot the guy's name. Well, you'll see. And so Mary Jane's still in La La Land. And then, of course, she's like, well, I'm waiting around. Rhonda's about to leave. And she's like, oh, you know, Mary Jane's waiting for her Uber, and she says, why don't you let Corey take you home? And of course, you know, she lets Corey take her back to her hotel, and they talk, and he tells her that he has an apartment in Brooklyn and Ditmas. Is it Ditmas or Ditmas? I think it's Ditmas. Ditmas. I lived in Brooklyn, and I knew I couldn't afford to live in that part. Anyway, but apparently he has this nice brownstone there. He said it's very family friendly. And she's like, oh, do you have a family? He's like, no, I don't have any kids, but you know, when I do, I just want to be ready. And he has a backyard and all this other stuff. She's so impressed by him. And so when they're walking up to her hotel, that's when Lee is coming out of there, because he tells her that he forgot his notebook up in Mary Jane's apartment, and well, not her apartment, her hotel room, and then he couldn't get in, but you know, he tried. And so he sees her with Corey. He's like, what's up? You know, and she's like, well, you know, we never said we were exclusive, acting like a true bitch. I mean, they are not exclusive, but you tell him that he can't come because it's a work event, and then you come back to your hotel with this dude all in your arm flirting and stuff. That don't look right. But he gave her the realest read ever. And I was just like, this is nasty what he said to her. I mean, he just ripped Mary Jane to shred. He pretty much said, like, you know, on paper, you look great. You have a good job. You have millions of people that follow you on TV, that love you, that are in awe of you, but you're also broken. You're someone who meets somebody and asks a complete stranger to tell them that you love them on the same night, that you're so needy and looking for love, and you're a riddle that I wanted to get an answer to, but you know, obviously you're just a broken person. And he just walks off, and I was just like, damn, she's not a riddle, she's a puzzle missing pieces. Like when you try to put a puzzle together and there's that one or two piece missing and you can't complete it, that's what Mary Jane is. She is not complete. I was like, oh my gosh, like you have some really, really bad priorities, and I just could not understand what was going on. So she takes that in. It really did hurt her. She didn't have anything to say to him, because you know it was all truth. And so she tells Corey, like, you know, maybe next time we'll get that drink, I'm gonna go home. So she does that. Next day, she talks to Kara about what she learned about Corey and what happened with Lee. And Kara's like really interested in, like, how is he able to afford, you know, this expensive, you know, this very expensive apartment, this brownstone in Brooklyn. And so she's looking up the details, and of course all this is public record. She sees that he has 2 properties, and one in Manhattan. The guy had told her, Corey had told her, he doesn't like Manhattan, he doesn't want to live, he doesn't like living there. And so they're getting curious about, like, what is it that, why does he have these 2 things? Eventually they see, like, Kara digs in. She uses her producer skills, and you know, she says, I'm in the middle of a divorce, I know how to find assets. So she later finds Mary Jane and says, it's so much juicier. It turns out that the second apartment in Manhattan is underneath some girl's name, and Mary Jane is not trying to believe it, but they find out it's like this, like, white Kate Upton looking model. And so they're like, oh my gosh, like, this can't be, like, you know, and it's looking like he embezzled money from the charity, like $5 million, to buy this secret love nest apartment in Manhattan. And so Mary Jane's like, you know what, we can get to the bottom of this. Let's just go and, you know, see who comes out of the apartment. So they go up there and they actually see the white girl come out. But then who do they see come out? Not Corey, but Rhonda's husband. And then they realize that Rhonda's husband has been stealing money from the charity and been using Corey to kind of cover it up. And so Kara's like, this is great because you can use this to kind of ruin Rhonda, not even ruin her, like this kind of scandal, even though she's not involved, would embarrass her so much that she would have to step down from the anchor position and you can jump into it. And so Mary Jane just can't believe it, but of course, like a dumbass, she goes and she tells Rhonda because she thinks they're friends. Rhonda, and Rhonda's like, oh my gosh, 31 years of marriage, I felt like there was somebody else, but I can't believe he did this to me, and you know, this is just horrible, and I can't believe that, you know, this charity was my baby, and how could he do this to me, and blah blah blah. And then so after that, she had let her know that she has to tell the producer Garrett about it because they needed to pull the story about her charity award. And so her and Kara go tell Garrett, and Rhonda's already on air, and all of a sudden they hear that Rhonda's going off script. One of the producers like, Rhonda's going off script, and she actually goes in front of the story and says, like, you know, this person I trusted that was running my organization has been stealing money, and you know, I'm really embarrassed. I'm going to step down from the foundation, and you know, please, like, you know, don't lose faith because I'm going to see myself through this. And so she pretty much just spun the story so that she wouldn't have to step down, blamed it all on Corey so that her husband wouldn't be attached to her family name. And Kara's just like, damn, what the hell happened? And she finds out Mary Jane told. Rhonda's been fighting off like bitches like you know, Mary Jane and Cara for years, who's been trying to take her spot. And so I knew that when she was being nice to her, that she was really just playing games, trying to do the same thing Cara was telling Mary Jane to do, except Mary Jane was falling for it, and Rhonda was really just taking in all the information. And we'll see how that turns out, because Mary Jane's like, oh, okay, well, I see that she did that. And so she's going outside and she sees Corey and she talks to him and she's like, well, I see that they got you to take a fall for them. What are you going to do? He's like, I'm going to take the plea. I won't get, you know, it'll be just probation. And then after that's over, I'll go to St. Croix overseas and handle Rhonda, her husband's finances there. And Mary Jane's like, so she convinced you to take a fall. She paid you to take a fall. He's like, of course. You don't want to cross Rhonda. Like, she's not somebody you want to fuck with because, you know, she can ruin your reputation or ruin your life. And so Mary Jane sees that and she's like, oh man, I can't believe Rhonda did that. And she goes inside and she's talking to Cara and she looks over, and who does she see but her version of that Steve, the producer that fucked her over and fired her early in her career. She sees him standing there and she's like, I have no idea what he's doing here. And I'm just thinking, girl, you told Rhonda about this dude. Of course you went and found him just to get underneath your skin and to be like, fuck you, bitch, for like trying to take me down with this scandal. And so Mary Jane goes up to him and asks him what's going on. And he said, well, when Rhonda asks you, you know, to come and do her a favor and come work somewhere, you don't say no. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So yeah, Rhonda got her. She got her ass. And I'm kind of on Rhonda's side because I think Mary Jane is dumb as fuck. So I cannot stand her. I forgot to mention the part where after she had done that whole, she had kind of had the face crack of a year, she went and, you know, was going through Lee's notebook that she found in her hotel room, and she's laughing at his jokes and she's thinking like, oh, you know, let me go and, you know, give it back to him. And so she finds him. She goes to the comedy club and actually finds out where he's hanging out with his friends. And he's looking at her like she is dirt. Like, what are you doing here? And she's like, oh, I wanted to return this. And he's like, I bought a new notebook. I don't need it. You can keep it. And so she and all his friends are just looking at her like, he already told us about your dumb ass. And so she's like, well, can we talk? And he's like, go ahead and talk. Talk right here in front of us, in front of everybody. And going back to the whole getting naked thing, which is the title of the episode, Lee had told her at the beginning of the episode that getting naked is, you know, revealing yourself and being open and honest and kind of putting all your cards out on the table, being vulnerable. And so she's here now at the restaurant with all his friends telling him that he was right, that she is attracted to scoundrels and cheaters and liars, and that when she sees a good man that she runs. And so she's kind of she's lonely and she's tired of running, and he tells her, why don't you stop running? So she's like, oh my gosh. She's like, you know what? I forgive you. You're like, you know, you're still my riddle. You're my riddle, my woman, my American riddle, my woman. And so he forgives her. And now they're going to be a little couple, Lee and Mary Jane. And we'll see how fast Mary Jane fucks this one up, because I don't expect it to go well. She moves one step forward and takes 10 steps back. So I can guarantee you she's going to do something to fuck this up. And so let me know what you guys think about this episode. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Share with your friends. Share with anybody. Let me know what you thought about this episode in general. What do you think about Mary Jane? Do you hate her as much as I do? Because she's so stupid. I just want to, like... Anyway, I'm gonna stop now. See you guys later. I'll check me out next week when I do episode 3. And just don't be Mary Jane. Don't be Mary Jane.